Hi, I'm Soraya Mia, and this is AWANI Tonight. Government declassifies report on LCS project. Taskforce says no evidence linking death of houseman in Penang to bullying. More on that coming up. The Governance, Procurement and Finance Investigation Committee's report on the Littoral Combat Ship project has been declassified. Public Accounts Committee Chairman Wong Kar-Woi received a copy of the report and said it is now available on the PAC's online portal for public access. Wong, however, stressed that parts of the report have been redacted, including names of shareholders of the companies involved in the deal. He previously expressed concern that parts of the report would be removed when the Prime Minister said last week that the Cabinet has agreed to declassify the report and a separate forensic report on the issue. Wong added that the declassification of the report was among the PAC's recommendations on August 4th. On August 4th, the PAC disclosed that the government paid 6.08 billion ringgit for 5 ships to be delivered by August this year, but not a single one of them had been delivered. Meanwhile, the Healthcare Work Culture Improvement Taskforce claimed to have found no elements of bullying linked to the death of a 25-year-old houseman in Penang Hospital. The incident that happened earlier this year raised eyebrows about the work culture among trainee doctors in the country.
Taskforce Chairperson Professor Datuk Dr. Siti Hamisa Tapsir said based on its findings, there was no strong evidence that connected the death to alleged bullying at the workplace. However, the task force pointed out other factors that pressured the deceased throughout his course of work, including high self- and workplace expectations, a challenging environment, and a heavy workload apart from long shifts. Siti Hamisa added that while the task force holds these views, the police investigations are still ongoing. On May 13th, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin announced the formation of the task force to look into bettering the working culture among Health Ministry staff following the alleged bullying incident in Penang. The death of the Penang Hospital houseman on April 17th this year is believed to be the second death involving a junior doctor in the state.
The owner of the Crack House Comedy Club has been permanently blacklisted from registering a business in Kuala Lumpur. The licensing committee of DBKL has also decided to revoke the comedy club's business license effective July 30th.
Deputy Federal Territories Minister Datuk Seri Jalaluddin Alias said this means the owner, Rizal Van Gazel, can no longer register any business in Kuala Lumpur even under a different company name. He added that the decision was made to set a precedent on matters related to insults on religious issues and to prevent similar occurrences. The comedy club was suspended by DBKL last month for failing to own an entertainment permit from 2014 to 2017. It also followed a viral video of an allegedly indecent performance at the comedy club's open mic night. A couple involved in the act were eventually arrested and charged for insulting Islam, as well as improper use of network facilities. Rizal was also charged with 3 other counts of cybercrime for posting videos touching on racial and religious sensitivities on social media.
Malaysia is a country rich in culture, but the full history of Malay textiles and how they came to be remain relatively unknown. Noticing this gap in literature, art historian John Ang seeks to uncover the hidden stories surrounding the Malay world. He speaks to Astro AWANI about the significance of his private collection of Malay textiles, which is now on display until October.
But this collection is special in that it represents Dunia Melayu, the Malay world, which has comparative examples from India, from Persia, from Yemen, from Cambodia, from many countries. So you can see how the textiles derive their patterns, and you can compare on the spot right away. And a lot of museums do not offer this visual experience for comparison. I find that most Asian countries in their textile museums and even in their own museums tend to be more regional rather than trans-regional. Like Malaysia is such an interesting country because it's right smack in the center between the East and the West. So you have Arab, you have Persian, you have Turkish, you have Indian, you have Dutch, you have English cultures entering the country, and then from the other end you have Japanese and Chinese and other Asian, East Asian countries entering and intermingling in this corner of the world. So the diversity, so this exhibition, when you see the map, you see the diversity of the cultures and the extensiveness of the culture.
Textiles can tell us unique tales about the Malay identity and culture from the past, but these art pieces are often unacknowledged. John Ang discusses the importance of understanding textile history, especially for the Malay community.
I think it's very crucial because to be aware of your textiles and your culture is to be aware of who you are. So when you look at the textiles, you'll notice that there's a lot of hard work going into it. So I feel when I look at the textiles, the Malays are hard-working people. But when you look at the British reports in the old days, they call the Malays lazy. So I think the Malays have shown otherwise. So was there some error in their judgment? I think there is, because the textiles are evidence. When you look at Malay textiles, you feel that Malays are very focused on achieving what they want. Because some of these textiles, if you're not focused, it will not happen because it was so difficult to make. I feel the Malay character, if you look at the textiles, they like to challenge themselves because they use techniques that are almost, in today's thinking, impossible to make. Even the computer cannot come up with a way to weave it. Other aspects, they're ingenious, they're very creative, they are very artistic, and they never copy, they're not copycats. So when you say things come from India, things come from this place, things come from that place, they don't copy the designs directly, they adopt, they adapt, and they make improvements, and they recreate. So I think it's important to know, to be aware. And today, that awareness is lost because everything is digital.
We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. On the foreign front, explosions and fires ripped through at least 17 locations in southern Thailand. 7 people were injured in what appeared to be multiple coordinated attacks.
The attacks in Yala, Narathiwat, and Patani began late Tuesday night and continued into Wednesday morning. Police said the bombings and arson attacks targeted convenience stores and a gas station across the 3 provinces. No one has claimed responsibility for the attacks so far. Provinces in southern Thailand along the border with Malaysia have seen a decades-long low-level insurgency in which the Thai government has battled shadowy groups seeking independence for the predominantly Muslim provinces. More than 7,300 people have been killed in the conflict since 2004, according to the Deep South watchdogs.
Talks between North and South Korea should not be for political show, but contribute to establishing peace. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol said this as he reiterated large-scale economic aid to the North if it ended nuclear weapons development and agreed to denuclearization.
먼저 다 비핵화를 시켜라. 그럼 우리가 그 다음에 한다. 이런 뜻이 아니고 그런 확고한 의지만 보여주면 거기에 따라 우리가 할 수 있는 일들을 다 도와주겠다는 얘기이기 때문에 종전과는 다른 얘기고 이렇게 의제를 먼저 우리가 주어야 저쪽의 답변을 기다릴 수 있고 앞으로도 의미 있는 우리 한반도 평화 정착에 필요한 그러한 의미 있는 이런 회담 내지 대화가 가능할 것으로 생각합니다.
Yoon claimed that he had called for a dialogue with Pyongyang since his campaign for office. He spent his first 3 months as president undoing the North Korea policy of predecessor Moon Jae-in, which focused on improving relations with Pyongyang. His comments today were seen as criticism of a series of summits involving Moon, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, and then US President Donald Trump. Denuclearization talks stalled in 2019, with the North saying it will not trade away its self-defense, though it has called for an end to sanctions.
Over in Australia, former Prime Minister Scott Morrison defended his decision to secretly appoint himself to 5 ministerial roles when he held the country's top post. He said it was a necessary step to manage the COVID-19 crisis at the time.
In that context, with an understanding of the expectation of public responsibility singularly directed at the Prime Minister, I believed it was necessary to have authority to have what were effectively emergency powers to exercise in extreme situations that would be unforeseen, that would enable me to act in the national interest.
Between March 2020 and May 2021, Morrison was found to have appointed himself to the Health, Finance, Resources, Home Affairs and Treasury portfolios. Many of his former colleagues were also unaware of the arrangements and have called for him to resign from Parliament, where he is now an opposition lawmaker after losing the general election earlier this year.
Meanwhile, Australia Prime Minister Anthony Albanese also slammed his predecessor Morrison for giving himself extra powers when he was leader. He said the former Prime Minister accepted no responsibility and must apologize to the Australian people.
The Australian people went to an election not knowing that any of this had occurred, not knowing that there was a shadow government operating in darkness without transparency, a clear misleading of the Parliament whereby parliamentarians and ministers are held to account for areas in which they have responsibility.
Yesterday, Albanese accused Morrison of undermining democracy and governing by deception. He also said that he will seek advice from the Solicitor General on the legality of Morrison's moves.
Tesla billionaire Elon Musk briefly sparked debates on the future of Manchester United today by claiming on Twitter that he plans to buy the football club, only to admit later that it was part of a long-running joke on the social media platform.
The tweet turnaround comes as Musk seeks to exit a $44 billion agreement to buy Twitter, just 4 months after announcing that he would buy the social media company, which has since taken him to court. Musk's tweets about potential acquisitions have landed him in hot water in the past. In 2018, he tweeted that there was funding secured for a $72 billion deal to take Tesla private, but did not move ahead with the offer. Musk and Tesla each paid $20 million in civil fines, and Musk stepped down as Tesla's chairman to resolve US regulators' claims that he defrauded investors.
That's all for you on the show tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Saramia, and we'll see you again.